Welcome to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton, and welcome to the live pre-match stream where we have just seen the team news and we are getting ready to look ahead to the game at the Amex, which is kicking off in just under an hour's time. The team news has just come in, and my goodness, if we weren't already concerned, if we weren't already concerned, I think it's going to be a tough watch. This one, I'm joined by Paul McAllister, and we've also got Callum Davis just joining the stream now from the Falcon Blues. Well, Malcolm, Callum, you all right, mate?
Yeah, I'm not bad. How are you?
Yeah, I'm great. Thanks, mate. Not great after having seen that team news anyway. Have you seen it, Cal?
Yeah, it's not great, is it?
Oh, my goodness. How on earth are we going to get a result out of this?
No one who can come off the bench other than maybe a Iwobi, if it's a miracle, to make a difference, really. I don't really know a great deal about the kids. Maybe Broadhead could come off, and he's been scoring a few, I've been told. But honestly, I just don't really see. Like, if the team doesn't work, the subs aren't going to help us, are they?
No, not at all. I've not seen a squad so weak from any team in this league all season, even like the sides right down the bottom of, I don't think the feel to the team this week. And I know it's testament to Ancelotti, and we've actually got to tune out of any of this, to be honest. But my God, that's like a League One level squad. That's the subs bench anyway.
Can you hear me?
Sorry, what did you say there? The internet's gone all fuzzy for me.
Oh, is it? You all right?
Yeah, I'm all right now. I think it's stabled itself out.
You're all right there, Paul?
Yeah, I'm fine. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we're all good here.
Yeah. No, that team, it reminds me of the old bleak days under David Moyes. Do you remember when we just basically had nothing on the bench? We just put people like Baxter on, and who else was there a lot? John Paul Kissick and
Wallace and all that.
Yeah, just players who you knew were never going to make. I think Gareth Dyer even got on once or twice, and Mustafi. They were part of those infamous Moyes benches that he just put there to make the numbers up. But no, looking at that team, it's the grimmest start 11 and the grimmest bench that we've put up all season. I think I can't think of one quite as depressing as that. I mean, maybe they'll get the job done. There's still some good players in there and a couple of match winners, you'd think, but just can this season just finish, please? I'm sick to death of just empty stadiums, injuries galore, farcical things going against us. I can't wait for this game to just be over tonight and for the season to be over in general, because it just seems like something stupid happens every week.
Doesn't it just? And Paulie, to break it to you, you're coming on the live stream with us after the game as well.
But I don't want to sound defeatist. I mean, it's only Brighton, isn't it? And they're not very good. Watch us go make them look like Bayern Munich.
No, we'll make them look like Barcelona. We make every team. We make championship teams look like Barcelona.
I still think we are capable of pulling out a result here, because we've gone away from home and pulled out a few. Backs to the wall wins this season, but just looking at that side, as we said, there's just nothing there. Is there? If we get another injury during the game, who are we going to bring off the bench? Just a kid, and it's not fair on them, is it? You don't want to put on a young lad from the 23s and he's thrown in at the deep end, and then maybe he gets exposed, and then everyone's just, oh, he's terrible, never give him a chance. It's so unfortunate, isn't it? A lot of players won't get a second chance to make a first impression, and I always feel sorry for young players where they're kind of just thrown in because the manager's got no choice but to put them there because all the other main players are injured. I hope that doesn't happen tonight. Hopefully we can just come through the game unscathed, and the only player who has to come off the bench if needs be is a Iwobi, because if the plan A doesn't work, we haven't got anything else, have we?
No,
it's a good point made here by Wormy Spoons. Brighton 7th in chances created, we're 16th. I mean, that doesn't always mean much. I mean, it doesn't mean that they're going to put those chances away, but I'm fearful of our midfield getting completely overrun. I mean, Davis and Sigurdsson doesn't exactly scream like legwork, does it?
No, not at all. It's just, I feel like we're missing obviously Allen and Decore are both out, and Davis has filled in well for Allen, but there's no way he's going to be able to fill in for Decore. He just doesn't have the stamina or the presence that Decore has. So when you have to have Sigurdsson filling into one of those spots as well, I just feel like we're definitely going to end up getting overrun in the midfield by that Basuma, who's one of the more hard-working midfielders in the league. It really just doesn't make for a good viewing, does it, at all?
Well, we haven't got a number 8, have we? Davis has tried to be a number 8 for years, or managers have tried to use him in that role for years, and he's never been any good at it, really. He looks like he's found his niche this season as a sort of number 6, playing deep in front of the back four. He's growing in that role, isn't he? I think a lot of supporters like me who were sick to death of him a year ago and wanted to see the back of him are warming to him again and willing to keep him around, but he's not a number 8. Sigurdsson's not anything as far as I'm concerned. I've made me feel as clear about him enough. I don't think he's a number 10, a number 8, number 6, and a false 9. I don't think he does anything really. So that centre of midfield, unless Brighton's midfielders have an absolute stinker of a night, I just see us getting absolutely battered in the centre of the pitch. Unfortunately,
or Godfrey could be centre mid.
We say that, but Ancelotti just doesn't seem to want to play them there. I don't think he's never played Aldgate there, has he? And has Godfrey maybe been there once?
I'm not sure. I just remember the
whole game out.
Aldgate's played there before, but I was mainly in the early days, just after the door.
Holgate, as far as I remember, has only played there once, and that was under Ferguson against United. If there's any other more examples, I can't think of them. Definitely not under Ancelotti. So I'd like to see both of them tried there at some point, because I think Holgate's got the passing range to play there, and I think Godfrey's got the discipline and the athleticism. But it just seems Carlo doesn't want to try it, does he? And It's a shame, because what else are we going to do? I'd rather try one of them there, and rather than some kid who's just a fish out of water. And if a player like Davis or not Davis, if Godfrey or Holgate played there and they just had a stinker, I think fans would be willing to get over it and think, right, we tried that, it didn't work. We know that's not his natural position. We won't try that again. Whereas it goes back to what I said earlier on. If we play an under 23 player there in a game and he just has a disaster, then that could end that lad's career at the club, unfortunately.
I read somewhere that Godfrey apparently played a season when he was at Shrewsbury in midfield. So I don't know whether, obviously this is just if Ancelotti is aware of that, but I definitely could see him doing a job there. I think he's more than good enough, because he played everywhere else. So why not stick him in midfield as well? Been left back, right back, centre back. Could be the midfield, but like you said, he doesn't seem to want to do it, does he?
It's just for all the good things he's done, Ancelotti, and all the tactical masterclasses he's pulled off. It can't be denied that there have been times this season where he's just not seen the obvious in front of him, and he's done things that just didn't make any sense on paper, and then he backfired badly in the game, wasn't it? And I hope that's not a case of that's not the same. Whereas Holgate and Godfrey could really do a job in the centre of midfield for a game or two, and for some reason Ancelotti just doesn't want to do it, and we end up dropping crucial points, and it ends up really hurting us come the end of the season. I really hope Ancelotti has looked at them in training and has maybe seen something we don't, which has made him think, no, I'm not going to try either one of those players in that position. I hope it's not a case of it's just laziness of assuming that because that's not their natural position, or because he's never seen them play there, that they can't. I hope someone, maybe Ferguson or another coach behind the scenes, has been urging them to maybe think
give it a try.
Yeah. And I hope that, and as I said, I hope the reason it's not been given a try is because they've looked at it in training and they've decided that it's not going to work in a live game.
You've got to hope that they're trying something, because obviously what we've seen lately is inadequate.
Yeah. Well, you'd imagine if they're willing to stick him at left back, they probably are aware that he's versatile. So I think it would be a case that if he's not been played there, they have thought it through. But like you said, there's been a lot of occasions this season where Ancelotti has made what we would consider the wrong decision. And obviously he's not the perfect manager in the world. He's a brilliant manager, but he's bound to make mistakes. So I don't know. I like to think that there's a reason behind it, but honestly, I don't even know what goes through the mind of some decisions that some managers make.
Where's Besic Because Besic is a whole midfield player, a centre mid. I know he's not great and he's not part of the future here, but if we couldn't get rid of him in January, I can't see why we didn't just put him as part of the squad list in case a scenario like tonight happens, where we've just got no other option and it's a choice between putting him there and putting a kid there. Because as much as people slag him off and don't rate him, and we couldn't shift him, he is still an international footballer. He has played.
He's still a relatively competent player. It's not like he was in the ass or something.
He's played at this level before and he hasn't embarrassed himself. He had a season in the Championship with Middlesbrough, a season or two, where he looked competent, as you said. It surely couldn't be the worst idea in the world to just throw him in there for a game. So I've got no idea. Maybe something's happened behind the scenes there, but why he's not on the squad list when we didn't shift him in January, it just makes no sense at all. You do that in case scenarios like tonight happen, where you're just decimated by injuries and you've got no one else who can play there, literally. You just basically calling up kids who've got no business being near the first team at this point in their careers, in their development, taking up squad positions on the bench. I just don't know. If anyone knows any more about what's gone on with Besic, why he's just sat on his ass at home.
Inky Squid's just said in the chat here, Besic is stuck in Europe. COVID rules are allegedly.
Why is he in Europe? Why is he not at Finch Farm? Has he gone on holiday? Do you know what I mean? He's not gone away for an international, I don't think. He's not gone on loan anywhere. Unless it's some sort of family issue, that's not come out. But I've got no idea why Besic wouldn't be at Finch Farm and wouldn't be training with the first team between now and the end of the season when he didn't go anywhere in January. They've done it with Bernard. Bernard was halfway out the door and his move didn't happen. And he's been... he's still training with the first team and he's still there, ready to be used when if the situation calls for it. I don't get why we're not doing it for the likes of Besic. If anyone knows where he is, if he's abroad, why is he abroad? And if he's not abroad, what on earth has he done to just mean that they don't want him anywhere near the first team? Why is he giving them the assay treatment when it's like, yeah, you don't come anywhere near these group of players, you go just sit in the corner somewhere and run your contract down?
Inky Squid says he was visiting the country and it went into lockdown in January. It was to do with his privacy.
Maybe there's more to it than we not realised then, but it just annoys me when you think about that. As you said, we've got a player there who is competent, who could come in and just do a job, you think, for one game before he goes in the summer and we never have to think about him again. And to think that he's off doing whatever, do you know what I mean? Instead of coming in and helping and earning his money. It's just so annoying.
We first signed him as well and he played like a few times, obviously, before he got injured. I didn't even think he was that bad. Like, and obviously he's not been playing as much football, but like you said, there's no way that he couldn't come in and just play central midfield for one game against Brighton.
The thing is, he's been leapfrogged in pecking order by Gabaman, who was clearly not fit enough last week.
Oh no, let's not go there, please. We're going to come to that, but oh my word. You know what I mean?
Obviously, but Gabaman's had rotten luck, and but again, do you not think that we rushed him back a bit too much there in that Palace game?
I don't know whether he's back. Like, for the games, I think he needs to be in games to get up to match fitness. But what bothers me is the fact that they threw him back into contact training. And, like, it's a player who obviously gets injured quite easily. I would have just kept getting him fit on his own, getting him fit, doing whatever else, stamina things on his own, running lines or whatever. I definitely wouldn't have been throwing him in with the likes of Allen, Davis, who'd be throwing themselves into tackles. I think that's what's really bothered me about the Gabaman situation.
You know, we're not doctors, we're not physios behind the scenes. We don't know what Gabaman's situation was. For all we know, the doctors have got into Ancelotti and said he's 100% ready to be in full contract training, and that's why they've done it. But I don't want to be horrible, but I'm just drained now. I'm at the point where I don't even want to worry about Gabaman anymore. Honestly, it's not the lad's fault. I'm not having a go at him. I feel sorry for him. No one deserves the luck he's had. But at what point does everyone just come to terms with the fact that he's clearly a crock and that is physically his body just isn't capable at this level? Because I'm not having that he's had another freak injury. How many freak injuries has he had now? Do you know what I mean? There must be something more.
And he'll go back to fully fit for like Augsburg or someone in Bundesliga. It's just the way it works at Everton, isn't it?
I go back to your point where you brought up, though. I can't remember which one of you it was, where you said basically Besic lost his squad position because of Gbamin, but Gbamin's not been fit for 2 years.
Exactly.
So why have we made any plans involving Gbamin when we have no idea? Basically, the manager who he was signed under isn't here anymore. The new manager who has come in since he was signed has admitted that he didn't know who he was and doesn't really know much, doesn't know what his game is. Ancelotti's admitted that. He said, I had to go out and look at him because I don't know whether he's good, bad, or what. I don't know what his role in the team is. Why are we giving up a squad position to a player who the manager clearly hasn't got a Scoobies about, has had awful injury luck, and we don't know if he's ever going to get fit again? I don't get it. I really don't. And that's why now I just think we need to just... It sounds like I'm really being horrible to the fella, but you just got to accept that it's not going to happen. Just move on. Get someone else. Stop. Don't make any plans involving him. Look after the lads. Get him. Hopefully he's all right mentally and he's still getting paid and you look after his welfare and you do what you can for him. But basically, this lad doesn't... There's no point making any plans for the squad involving this player because he's clearly not capable of staying fit. And there's no promise that he's ever going to... If he ever did get fit, he could come in and do anything. So we just need to, in the summer, sign a replacement for him. And that's why I can't believe that when he was in January transfer window, we didn't get some sort of cover for that position. Even if it was just re-registering Bezic and just saying, there's a good chance we might need you to play the odd game between now and the summer. You're not getting a new contract, but if you come in and you behave well and you do what's asked of you by the manager, and maybe if you get a chance to come in a game and you impress, you might get yourself a deal with somewhere else. It's surely better to do that than just what it seems that we've done, just giving players the assay treatment and said, yeah, you just go over there and we'll never ever think about you ever again. I just don't get it. I really don't.
I don't get it. I mean, I remember like we were in a really bad place, both performance and injury-wise under Moyes, and he brought Alex Nyarko back from the dead, and if you can do that with him, you can do it with anyone.
Yeah, Nyarko was a free agent, wasn't he? Like, he walked off crying because that fan called him shit to his face, and he had that much of an injury crisis that Moyes basically re-signed him just to play him in a game, just to get through that week, wasn't it? So, mad. I don't know what it is that has made us think that all these players that we've got under contract who are not going anywhere between now and the summer, we just can't even attempt to get any use out of them. Do you know what I mean? I just really don't understand that mentality. Whilst they're here collecting a wage,
use them,
make them work for it. Yeah, use them if needs must. Just make them earn the money, because what else are they doing apart from just sitting there? And if you're in Bolassi's case, crying on Twitter.
It does feel just mismanagement again for Everton, but it happens all the time, doesn't it? Like you said, it's happened over and over again, and it doesn't really come as a surprise that they'd make like this kind of mistake again, because it's happened before, and it's crazy that we keep letting it happen, because it's cost us in this game. We've got two midfielders, Davis, who's all right this season, and Sigurdsson, who most of the fan base don't really want. So
Sigurdsson's only good for the forward, and he's playing in the centre mid role today. So I fear for Sigurdsson today, he's going to have a bad one out here. Have one of his bad days. And when he has a bad day, I mean it's a very bad day.
Don't need to tell me.
Oh, I know, mate. Don't you worry.
Oh my. Well, is there any word on Josh King? Because I think more than anyone, he'll be the player most gutted to be missing out tonight, because I think we might just... That's another thing we just need to accept. I think we all need to make peace with the fact that he's not staying. I don't think anyone's particularly desperate for him to stay. We've not seen anything, but clearly it's just not going to happen. It's not written in the stars, is it? Because Ancelotti hasn't used them anywhere near as much as we thought he would do. And on the one night tonight where you think he'd be nailed on to play and try and impress, what's the issue with him? Is he injured?
Not even on the bench, is he? So I'd imagine if they were going to stick kids on over him, it has to be an injury. I just don't understand why we fought so hard to sign him. Apparently, it was down to the wire, wasn't it, with Fulham?
He was going with Fulham, yeah.
We beat them to a signature. Why? He's played about 8 times for us, hasn't he, off the bench every single time?
8? That's ambitious, mate. I think it's when he managed about 4 or 5 games off the bench.
I think his total minutes are like less than 45. I don't think he's played a half for us yet. And his all is off the bench.
No, he's only come on like the 75th minute or later in every game he's played.
Yeah, if you added all his minutes up, it doesn't even add to like half a game. It doesn't full half yet. And we signed him deadline day in January, so two and a half months ago. So less than 45 minutes of football or whatever it is in 2.5 months when he's not been injured until tonight. It just leads to suggest that the manager just doesn't rate him. Maybe that was just a brand signing when he's got him something new. Tosun was going back to Turkey, and he knew he couldn't leave Ancelotti short up front. So he thought, right, I'll go get him a striker. I'll get him a 6-month deal, which he's done. Fair play to Blands on that. It's not like we're going to be stuck with King forever, is it? He's got him a 6-month deal, and he's just gone to Ancelotti. Yeah, just make do with this fella until the end of the season and do what you want to do with him. And clearly Ancelotti's had a look and doesn't fancy him.
Nah, yeah. But the problem I've got with it is instead of doing that, we could have got like a midfielder in on loan, and that would have been a lot more useful.
Should have got that anyway, I think. The midfield has been an issue all season. Alan was injured in the January period, wasn't he? He wasn't back yet. Gabaman, we've been through that. Delph, let's not even waste our breath on him. Delph. It was Decore. I think basically we didn't plan on Decore getting injured for as long as he has been, and that's on the recruitment. Basically, the minute Decore got injured, we've been left.
Yeah, that's for me. That's when the season has fallen off a cliff since Decore got injured, and I feared that as soon as it happened.
Yeah, and all the supporters did, and what I'm saying is the recruitment team should have realised that if anything happens to Decore, we're just going to get left holding our willies here.
We knew that. We knew that if he went, if he got injured, it'd all fall apart. And would you believe it? He got injured, and we just cannot win games now. It's so frustrating, and it's just
we can't win games. We can't win in midfield over the course of the game without an enforcer like somebody with that kind of physicality and clout. You can't win midfield battles in the Premier League without a player like that.
No. That's why Bissouma is going to run us all over the pitch today, I think, because he is that kind of player. We've got Sigurdsson.
We're just back to being the Everton team that we saw in the final 3 months of last season when we came back after the initial lockdown, where we missed out on Europe that year as well because we were just so bad in midfield, and we were all praying for the season to end and saying we need a dominator in midfield. We just need a big unit to go in that centre midfield and just win tackles and put himself about and be box to box. And we got one into Decore, and he's been a massive success, and we were all made up with him. But without him and without any cover for him, we're basically back to just being the same Everton of last season, where we might scrape the odd crappy win here or there, but we're going to drop a lot more points. We're going to lose more games than we win, and we're probably not going to draw many games, or at least not good draws anyway, where we dig down deep and we draw against the team we've got no right to be beaten. We're just back to being that Everton again, where we're just really hard on the eye. A lot of players in the team are out of form at the same time, and the manager basically can only do so much with them. And look what happened last season. We ended up missing out on Europe when it looked like it was there for us for a long time. And sadly, it looks like that's going to be the case again. We're going to miss out on Europe when you add the season up overall. We had the squad, or at least the first 11 and maybe 2 or 3 more players. We had a core group of players, or about 13 or 14, who were definitely good enough to finish in the European places this season.
We've been good enough as well, and we've been in the positions at times where we've been in the driving seat almost, where we've had a lot of points on the teams that were below us at the time and games in hand. Obviously, one of them was City at the time, but that's really annoying because we could have just gone on and it's all falling apart because of the likes of simple wins, you'd assume. Palace, Fulham, even like West Ham, when we went into the new year, weren't flying the way that they are now, and we lost 1-0. And I feel like ever since then, it's just been like that Everton of last season, the one that you mentioned.
I think
what makes it worse is we've lost all those games for little tiny stupid things. It's not like we've been dominated in those games, and you're like, the squad's just awful. We're nowhere near good enough to compete with these teams. We've always lost because of something stupid, because we're missing that one key player, or we make the wrong sub at the wrong time, or a certain player's just having an off day and should have scored and hasn't. And it's just so annoying. It seems like we're just losing by thin margins all the time in games that we shouldn't be losing, and it's going to cost us, sadly. I hope it's not tonight.
and that always comes back to dominating the midfield, I think, where you can like impose your will on the game. We never control games, do we? Ever anymore?
Never.
No.
I can't think of a comfortable win we've had. Even
we haven't. Not since the
weren't comfortable.
No, we haven't had a comfortable win since the first month of the season.
Yeah.
Maybe Leicester away. How long ago was that now? That was November.
That was
time,
December.
We definitely haven't had a comfortable win, an impressive win where you think, yeah, you know what, we did everything right there. Maybe a derby, but you've got to preface that with the fact that Liverpool were absolutely probably in their worst spot that they've been in for 40, 50 years going into that game. Other than maybe that one derby result, we haven't had a real impressive performance since Christmas, really, since 2021.
I think, apart from the derby and the Leicester game, we haven't won by 2 goals since Brighton in October.
Was that 5-2?
Since we
4-2 or 5-2, yeah.
Is fit as well. So obviously it does boil down to the injuries, but everyone's had injuries this season. There's only so far you can keep using that as an excuse, really, I think.
Other teams have got cover for their injuries, though, or at least more cover than what we've got, which is just so frustrating. We haven't got anything. As we were saying, as soon as we lose to Corey and Allen, we
haven't got a midfield.
We haven't got a midfield. There's just a big black hole that we can't fill. We've got Davis, who, as I said before, is slowly coming. Looks like he's winning fans back around. But if you're going to get any use out of him, I think it's as a number 6 player. I think we've seen enough to know that's his position now, and it's going to be his position in the future, sitting in front of the back 4, just playing the simple passes. He's not going to be a number 8 who's running all over the place and tackling people. We've got Sigurdsson, who has one good game in 10, if that. Gabaman, who's just, we're never ever going to get him on the pitch fully fit, and even if we did, what type of player is he? We don't know. And we've got Fabian Delph, who's just an absolute sick note, who doesn't even want to be here and play.
No, he's a joke.
Yeah, he's just got no cover at all.
What's that stat where we've only had like one person come off the bench and make a goal contribution, and that was Bernard in the cup, wasn't it? Or Sigurdsson when he scored that penalty against Liverpool. That's the only goal contribution we've had from anyone off the bench. That just sums it all up, doesn't it, really?
That's grim. That's really grim. But yeah, I'd forgotten about that. Yeah, Sigurdsson's the only player to come off the bench and score for us this season.
We definitely have some of the worst, like some of our sub benches this year have been.
No, I say this, like, we've got a top 4, top 6 quality first 11, but we've got a bottom 4 quality reserves. 100%. I feel like there's teams in the bottom 6, your Burnleys, your Brightons even, who have better B teams than we've got.
Mm-hmm. The players that they can bring on to impact a game are better than the players that we can bring on. It won't be, if you compare them to like someone like Robbie Brady for Burnley. I would imagine that Robbie Brady is probably more likely to grab you a goal than it will be, and that's just like a random player. I could probably pick a better one if I wanted to.
I wouldn't disagree with that, mate. Honestly,
that's just Burnley. You've got like probably Newcastle or Fulham have got better subs to bring off. Like, I would go as far as to say maybe barring like a Sheffield United or maybe West Brom, that right down the bottom, we've got maybe the 2nd or 3rd worst B team in the league, if we have to call upon them.
Yeah, we can't give our crap away, can we? Literally, Tosin had to go back to Turkey, where he's basically to Besiktas, where he's basically a club legend, because the only team that would have him is a Mickey Mouse team. No team that's worth a shite essentially wanted to take him off us. Bernard's the only team that came in for him with some Saudis who bottled it at the last minute. He didn't get any legitimate offers, did he? Roma didn't materialise for all the links he got. Who else is there? There's a few. I'm trying to remember. Besic, we mentioned him. Besic didn't get a move, did he? Balassi went to Middlesbrough, but even then, it was only because the manager at Middlesbrough likes him. It's only because he's mates with Neil Warnock that he got that move. All the deadwood we've got, it just seems like we can't give it away, and it's like that every season. We've got deadwood that we can't shift at all. What I'd give to just be Liverpool, where we've got teams queuing up to spend loads of money on our crap that we don't want.
You know, it's like I said before, the years and years of doing it so badly wrong. It's just put us in this awful position where we're stuck with the likes of Walcott, who hasn't he got another season after he's back from Southampton?
No, he's going in the summer.
Yeah, his deal runs out in the summer, but Tosin, when he comes back from Turkey, he's got
Tosin, just Chen Tosin.
Yeah, we've got players from previous managers who, at the time, could have been good enough. Obviously, have turned out poor. But the gambles we put on them with the ridiculous contracts and the stupidly long things, it's caused us to be stuck with this backlog of players that aren't good enough. And they just, we can't get rid of them because of the money they're on and what they're worth and all that. It's just so bad, so classic Everton.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, Callum. I really want to see us make some sort of shrewd signings, smart signings, like signs that David Moyes was so good at. Players who
Jared Bowen. Look at the players he brought in.
Championship is a great for players like that at the moment. You see loads of them coming through now. That Eze came straight from QPR, didn't it?
Yeah. We haven't made one of those signings in ages. Who was the last one who springs to mind? Maybe Gareth Barry.
We've got Godfrey.
Godfrey, but players you don't expect much of, at least not in the short term, and they actually come in and they make such a positive difference. There's Godfrey, we'll give you that one, but who else is there? I can't think of many.
Which was a long time ago now.
Trezeguet, yeah, he was one, but the few and far between. In the last 5 years, you could probably count them on one hand, couldn't you? Players who, when they were signed, the fan base kind of just shrugged the shoulders a bit, and then we ended up really loving them and thinking, what a player that wasn't made up.
Godfrey and then probably Zuma on loan as well turned out quite well. That's about it.
Yeah, and we've got 3 times as many players who are absolutely crap, or we gave big money to, as Callum said, or players who are not terrible. They're not good enough to come in and keep us around that top 6, fighting around the European places if they have to come in for a prolonged period. Players like Bernard, players like Iwobi, players like Delph when he's on the pitch and plays, players who just don't make enough of a difference over a prolonged time in the team. And you're not going to stay anywhere near the top 6 if you've got those players, if you're relying on those players to come in and do a job and fill the void of your first 11.
Yeah, it's...
The worst thing is that when they were all signed, they were expected to make that difference, weren't they? And they just haven't. There's been so many like that over the past few years.
The thing is, there's so many of them where I could have said when we signed them, I don't think this is what we need.
What are we doing? Yeah, like Iwobi's the ultimate one of them, where I just think, what were we thinking signing him? I don't think he's a really terrible player, and I think he's one of the few players where if we made it clear that we wanted to sell him, we probably would get an offer off somebody. We'd get some money. Wouldn't get our money back, but we get a bid, probably, because
get us 20 million or something.
No, I don't think we'd get that, but I think we'd get at least 10. Do you know what I mean? They've got some ability. They can come in and have 2 or 3 good games in a season. Like someone somewhere would be stupid enough to take them off us. But it's just it's so frustrating. Why do we just buy players who come here and just are only interested in having an easy life?
That's probably what the club's been advertised as since Machidi took over.
Yeah,
because that's exactly what it was, at least until Ancelotti took over.
Yeah, you're right with that, because we've not really had the manager that seems to have been like, obviously the ambition has been there with the money that we've spent, but we've not really spent it well. And then these players, like we've said, have been on these long contracts on a lot more money than they probably deserved, and then they don't really, like, they get away with doing very little at the club. So if you were a player who you'd see it as an attractive proposition, because you could come with a risk-free move where you're going to make more money and you can stick around for as long as you want, because that's the kind of club that we seem to have been the past few years under these managers before Ancelotti.
I don't get why we were given these like 4 or 5 year deals to players who were not exactly young, like they were 25 or older, and they'd never played in the league. We gave a 4.5 years deal to Tosin, which is lumbered us with him. I don't know why we did that. Bernard, another one, never played in this league. We had no idea if he was going to come in and cut it. Gabaman was at least a bit younger, and no one knew that injury fiasco was going to happen. But there's others. Walcott, he got a long deal, didn't he? I think what did he get? Like 3.5.
Yeah, 3.5.
Yeah.
He got that's a long one for a player of his age and the miles he's got on the clock. We gave who else from it? There's a really long. I think Ashley Williams got a 3-year deal as well.
Yeah.
When he was 32 when we signed him. It's like, why are we giving these long deals to players who, let's say, if they don't hit the ground running, we're never going to, unless they come in and they're good straight away, those signings are going to have to be classed as failures.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because they're at the age now where, they're at the point in their career, or we're at the point where we are in our project sort of thing, where we can't afford to wait around and have these players develop. We need them to come in and make a difference now. That's why the only saving grace with that Josh King deal is that it is only 6 months. Clearly, we don't fancy him. He's going to be gone in the summer, and we don't want to think about him anymore. But there's been players like that. Tosin was the prime example. We got this player who no one was really fussed about. We got him in January to come in and provide cover for as in the up front, and we signed him on a 4.5-year deal. He's like, oh, bloody hell, that's a gamble, isn't it? What if he come in and he's terrible? Which he was.
Poor Annie. So, it's for me, it's the case of I think we are becoming more shrewd with our transfer business, but we still need to get better. I still think we need to, like you say, we need to start unearthing some gems from the lower league. There's players at that level who've just got a work rate that we seem to lack. These Jared Bowens and those type of players who seem to come up, they have a bit more of a sort of work ethic about them. Don't seem to have enough grafters.
Hungry. You want to make
that's the word.
They want to make it. They don't see Everton as just just the next chapter in their career. I hate when players say that. I'm on to the next chapter. Because they make it sound like the club they're leaving is just something they're not bothered about. Like the board, it makes it sound like they were bored at the club they're at and they're going somewhere else now because it sounds like it's better.
Change of scenery, basically.
Yeah, basically, yeah. I'm fed up where I was. I fancy going to live in a different city and wear a different colour kit and play with some different players. But that's what not personally. I'm not saying this is his attitude, but.
I'd say
Looks like we lost Paul there.
Iwobi would be my one if I was to finish his sentence for him. Just fancy the change of scenery. I don't really feel like he came to Everton with the plan to obviously I can't really say for him, but it just didn't seem like the move to Everton was like one that's going to really further his career. He was getting enough game time at Arsenal. He just wasn't playing very well. And he's got enough game time with us, and the same's really happened, doesn't it?
Yeah, so it was, to be honest, Iwobi's just Iwobi. He's doing the same things here that he was doing at Arsenal. Nothing's changed. And I don't think anything will change. He's a decent footballer with a decent skill set, but no football brain, in my opinion.
No, I agree with that. Decision-making lacks so much, doesn't it?
Anyway, talking about this game, rather, going back to that, because we've not really spoke about Brighton much, have we? As I was saying earlier on, I still think we're capable of turning up here and grinding out the results. It will be ugly as anything. It really will. It'll be such a crap game. But
it's going to be a terrible game.
Yeah.
Do you think there's any player who's in the team tonight? Do you think, you know what, he's really important tonight? He's the key. We're going to get a victory. Is it Rodriguez? Is it Charleston?
Just both of them, really. You'd imagine.
Yeah, well,
it's going to have to be them carrying the attack, isn't it? I don't see Sigurdsson offering too much. Really.
I think it's him. Genuinely, if he turns up and has one of these 1 in 10 games where he's in the mood, then I think we could play some nice stuff and
he's got
get a goal.
He showed us. Even when we first signed him as a player, he was our best. Like amongst the sack of awful footballers we had at the time. So he's obviously got it there. I just feel like he has seemed not really that bothered.
No, he's not bothered. He's not bothered, essentially. But if he has one of those performances where he decides to whip in a good set piece, it could be the difference between us winning and losing. Yeah. Or if he just has a game where he's hitting good corners or he's picking the right passes and he's releasing the ball quick enough, I think basically he's going to be the decider of if we win or lose tonight or whatever. If he
how much he turns up, yeah.
Yeah, basically, it'll come through him, because if he's having one of those games where he just wants to stand around and point his finger, then
we're going to get whacked.
We're going to get whacked, because Richarlison will be up front, isolated on his own. Rodriguez will be trying to do all the creativity by himself, which he can't do. As good as a player as he is, he can't break down entire Premier League defence on his own. He just can't.
No.
If Sigurdsson can turn up, like we've seen him do sometimes, like he did against Leeds away, like he did, what's the other game I'm thinking of? Maybe Leicester. He played in the Leicester away game where we had the green kit on. If he puts in a performance like that, where he just does the simple things and he does them effectively, like hitting good set pieces, like linking up with players and getting in the right areas and putting enough of a shift in, then we could score some goals tonight, and it could be a really important win. But if we have just one of these games where he's standing around, pointing his finger, and he just leaves Davis all by himself to do all the midfield donkey work, then it could be a really long night. This.
Yeah, Davis, he's another one who, if he showed up, he could be the difference in terms of, because I feel like obviously we've got like 4 centre backs on the field. We're playing like 5 at the back, probably. Hopefully, I feel like we're going to have to catch them on the break, because they play 3 at the back as well, don't they? I feel like they nipping in the midfield. If he was to nip in and steal the ball, it could set us on the way for counter attacks. But that, I feel like he is capable of making a pass 1 in 100 sometimes when he's going forward. But if he was to nip the ball and get it to Sigurdsson, if they're both just even the tiniest bit on it tonight, then, like you said, they could be the difference, because Richarlison's going to have to just do a lot of running up front to make up for all the lack of in the midfield.
Yeah, I really hope we don't long ball it tonight, because we do that a lot of the time when Calvert-Lewin's not playing. We just oof it up and the ball goes straight back to them, because Richarlison's not going to go up and win many headers. We haven't got a number 10 who's going to get up there and put his size about, really, because Sigurdsson's a tall fella, but he's not particularly strong. That's not Rodriguez's game at all. He's not a physical. He doesn't get up close to people, does he? So I really hope Ancelotti has drilled in a really specific game plan to these players, saying, right, do this in this scenario. Do not do this. If this happens, make sure that you're all standing in these positions. We just have to be absolutely spot on in everything we do. And as Callum said, we're going to need players like Davis to just read the game really well and concentrate for every second, because if he just has one of these moments where he's kind of just daydreaming, as we know he can do, he's just going to get bypassed, and Brighton are just going to come flying at us in waves, aren't they? And I know they're not great at putting the ball in the back of the net, but our defence just doesn't seem capable of keeping clean sheets at the moment, does it? So we're going to need every player to just have 100% maximum concentration, and if they do that, then I do think there's a good chance we could nick something here, because we don't win tonight, then Europe's gone, 100% gone for me.
Curtains.
Yeah.
We need
Couldn't put it better myself.
Like that Wolves away game, I think, where similarly we had very little players due to injury. And Ancelotti made a system because of that. I think Sigurdsson played the false 9 in that game, didn't he? And I thought he was all right in that game. Obviously, players like Iwobi had a good game. So obviously it's dependent on players like that showing up. But it's going to have to be another performance like that where everyone kind of clicks a little bit and buys into a new system. And you like to think that with Calvert-Lewin out, we won't just play hoofball, because Ancelotti will know that there's no one else. Even when Calvert-Lewin's running around trying to win these headers, it still doesn't work. So without him running around trying to win the headers, there will be no point in us playing the long ball. So hopefully he won't. But I guess
no point in us even really crossing it into the box, is there? Unless we can get in behind them and whip a ball in, because we've got Dina playing on the left wing, haven't we? And he's got a wand of a left foot, but there's no point in launching the ball into the box when there's no one there to meet it, as we said.
There's 3 6'5" centre backs in there as well.
Yeah.
And 6'7" fullback.
But honestly,
we're not inspiring a lot of hope here, are we? We're trying to dress this up as we can.
You don't go on live stream for hope, do you?
I just hope that, like, if things aren't working, that he does give Godfrey or Holgate in midfield idea a little run out, because I think that could help us a lot.
Yeah, and all we need is someone to just put themselves about, just get some tackles, get up close to people, push someone over, press them a little bit. Just someone who's got a bit of energy and a bit of snarl and a bit of roughhouse tactics.
Early on in the season, we had the back line of Coleman, Mina, Keane, and Dean. Rodriguez was playing off the right. Obviously, no Calvert-Lewin today, but Richie was playing off the left with Calvert-Lewin up top. Why not just go back to that and use Godfrey or Holgate as, the extra centre halves who we won't be using at the back? Why not just use them in the midfield roles to provide some physicality? Like you say, Holgate's quite technical. Godfrey's very physical. I feel like there's something that we could find in that. I feel like it needs to be tried.
I think if he is set on playing this 5 at the back, and if he does at some point decide to put Holgate or Godfrey in the midfield, them protecting the defence, just scurrying about in front of the defence, will allow Davis and Sigurdsson to push further on. And then if Sigurdsson's further on, he's closer to his natural position, which means
Sigurdsson can play his own game better.
Exactly, because he isn't a central midfielder, and that's not really an excuse for him playing as poorly as he does. But
the man can't tackle. Yeah, he doesn't know what a tackle is.
No, so yeah.
So what is it? 10 minutes to kick off now. Anyone got any predictions at all? I'll go first. I could just see this being an absolute stinker, like a proper old-fashioned, like Tony Pulis Stoke type performance, where if any neutral just turn this game off, I think it will be 0-0. I think we'll be devoid of chances. I think it will be 0-0. I can't see us scoring unless one of our better players, like Rodriguez or Richarlison, just pulls goal out of thin air, which they can do, but you shouldn't be going to a game expecting that. And if we're playing a back 5 with 3 centre-backs, we should absolutely not be conceding against these, because for all the pretty passing they do, they can't score. That's been their problem all season. They just don't put the ball in the back of the net enough. And if we can't keep a clean sheet against these, then we don't even deserve to be in the top half, never mind challenging for a European place. So I'm really hoping we can pull out a really dodgy, ugly 1-0 like we did against the likes of Sheffield United away, but I'm just going to go for a 0-0 draw. I can just see it being a proper stinker, and we'll have to just be happy with a point.
That's the most that we can hope for. Not the most, but that is, if you're being realistic, an ugly 1-0 win is just the only real performance you can see. I could see it being 1-0 to either side or 1-1. There's no
I hate to break it here. I see it being 1-0 to the other side, and it's going to be just as hard to watch.
Yeah.
We've seen it against the likes of West Ham and Newcastle already. I just feel like it's going to be another one of those.
I hope not, but
tough to take.
Or would not be surprised.
Because the way this day's gone, though, it looks like it's written in the stars, isn't it? We've got Gbamin injured again for God knows how long. Calvert-Lewin and King are 2 number 9s. Forget about him, not Arsenal, Tosin. It's like can fall off for all I'm asked. But players getting injured who were devastated about. Yeah, it seems like everything's going against us today. So I really hope we can do the thing that matters the most and just win the game. But I just can't see us grinding this out. I really, with the squad we've got,
I'm not
I just don't think we've got enough.
If we get through this game with that ground out win, then that's when we can get a bit more optimism. We still have that game in hand, and then we can look to get players back where we don't have to play a game with one fit central to hold in midfielder and all this. But if we don't
one fit senior substitute,
it's over. If we don't win this game, Europe.
Yeah, it's tough, isn't it? Like, just gotta, Yeah, I'll finish up by summing it up with what Inky Squid said here. Come on, you Blues, don't be embarrassing.
That's all we can hope for. Just put in a performance where we can come on afterwards and say, all right, maybe we were just unlucky there. I don't want to be coming on here afterwards and just basically be saying, I knew that was going to happen. Not even ripping into everyone, because I'm too depressed for that, to be honest. Just kind of shrugging our shoulders, thinking, what else were we expecting?
Yeah.
It's getting to that point, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, anyway, we'll wrap it up there. We'll get ready for the game. Might need a drink in me system before it kicks off, to be honest, if it carries on like this. So, yeah, we'll leave it at that, guys. let's just see how it goes, and we'll see you on the other side. Me and Paul will be back for the post-match stream, so definitely tune into that, and of course subscribe for more content. Thanks, Callum, for joining us as well, mate. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
Right.
Cheers, mate.
And like I say, Paul and I will be back just after the game with the live stream, post-match stream, so tune in for that as well. And until then, guys, thank you for watching on the Toffee Blues.